What a crowd. This is great. Among 37 other things that I have on my plate, how many of you have heard of the Challenger Learning Centers? That's a pretty small minority. Right up the street at Sparks High School is the Challenger Learning Center of Northern Nevada. The families of those astronauts killed in the Challenger disaster got together and endowed a pretty nice chunk of money. And the Challenger, there's 44 Challenger centers around the world and growing. Their charter is pretty much K through 12. The one in Sparks High School at the moment has a simulated spacecraft that takes you to Mars. You get out and there's a big laboratory that the kids do experiments in. There's mission control outside the laboratory, and they spend a day doing these missions. And there's been 7,000 or 8,000 kids gone through the program already. And my wife is a retired special needs teacher. When she saw it for the first time, she couldn't stop crying because it's such an incredible event. Personal opinion, this country has gone in the toilet as far as accountability and national spirit. And I heard President Kennedy say we're going to the moon, so I packed my car, moved from Brooklyn to Houston, put myself through college, pestered enough people to where I got a job at Mission Control and spent 14 years there. So we're kind of passionate about this. As a bit of an aside, well, let me get into it, and we'll go from there. As I said, it's currently located in Sparks High School. This is the vehicle you ride into space. It does all kinds of stuff, and the laboratory where they do experiments, mission control. We just launched a enterprise mission for businesses. We just did one for a popular local newspaper a couple of weeks ago, and encouraging people in teamwork and working on one project. Unfortunately, in the infinite wisdom of the new Washoe County School Board, they're kicking us out of Sparks High School. They didn't really see the point to all of this. Fortunately, Harry's Auto Museum is now hosting us. We have displays up already. I went in the attic and got my Apollo memorabilia. I have an exhibit there. I'm glad I have an exhibit somewhere. So please, if you get by the Auto Museum, just stop by. We've had quite a few visitors already say it's better than most of the exhibits, space exhibits. And hopefully the Challenger Learning Center will be moving there by this summer. So why is all that a wonderful thing? Well, back during the early days of NASA Houston, we had, that was our club station. It's now W5RRR. We were next to the drop tank where they used to drop the simulated capsules in a big swimming pool of water. So the antennas got sprayed all the time. I operated the first 10-meter contest from there. We talked the FCC into giving us special calls before they were available. We did WM5MSC and WJ5SKY during Skylab. And Owen Garriott, W5LFL, was the first ham on the air. And that's me in a former life with a big red beard. So why am I bringing all this up? Well, I'd like to see, personally and passionately, see amateur radio in space become much more prolific. Almost every astronaut on the International Space Station has a ham license. That's been going on for years, including the Italians, the Japanese. They're all licensed hams. And so I'm proposing that we create a station at the Auto Museum. Fred, K6DGW, is just transplanted to Sparks. Another ex-NASA type. I've already volunteered him to work with the Challenger Learning Center. So rather than rather than go in there and put antennas on the roof, we now live in an age of remote HF, and our station, the Comstock Memorial Station, Virginia City Highlands, hosts an Elecraft remote system. So the proposal would be to get an Elecraft radio and the interface that talks to the internet, connect to the Wi-Fi inside the Auto Museum, and have SNARS host the station. I would envision something like a locked cabinet where the equipment would reside, and we can coordinate operating both for special events and to give SNARS members access to an HF station whenever the Auto Museum is open. This is what it actually looks like. The station on the right is an Elecraft K3 amplifier, antenna tuner, and the remote interface to the internet. And there's presently 6 or 7 people who use it on a regular basis. The station on the left, the radio is a K30. It has nothing in it except the front panel and computer interface. And it talks to that laptop, which has a logging program. The second screen is remote antenna connections. I've got a little more clearer picture than that. This is for those of you who haven't been up, please come visit. Comstock Memorial Station is a nonprofit group. We have 8 towers and 31 antennas. The new ones are laying under the snow at the moment. The screen on the right is a remote access that you log into a remote terminal. The things with the rosettas on it control 6 different rotators. You can turn the antennas. The antenna switches down on the bottom. You just select any one of the HF antennas. So it's a pretty interesting remote access for anybody that wants to get on HF and be the loudest guy in town without spending any money.
Does that mean that they actually
Turns the antennas, changes the antennas. There's at least 3 antennas on every band. So you turn the rotators, change the antennas. It's pretty slick. And Tony didn't design it, unfortunately. Again, I would envision that the club be the host and the volunteers. I have no concept as to how we would do this, whether it would be just when people want to operate, but certainly to support the Challenger Center missions. When we have some special event going on, it would be great to have somebody manning the station and showing people ham radio. And of course, again, available for the club members when the museum is open, and whoever the coordinator is nice enough to let you in. Gary?
Hey Tom, what about a special call sign for the station?
Well, my initial thought was W7TA, but
How do you use it?
that's up to the club. We do?
K5RC?
So yeah, again, I'm looking for this to stimulate conversations. I don't need another job. I got my hands full with the Challenger Center. So that's the basic proposal. The equipment needed is the Elecraft remote system. This is even smaller than the K30. It's the K3 something, but that's just the front panel. We need the interface device, and this is what it costs on the Elecraft website. About $1,100 for the complete system. There's no charge, of course, for the remote system. We have free access to it when Fred's not using it. The other equipment we need is a PC, probably a laptop and a second screen for the antenna controls. Some kind of a locking desk or console where we can keep it secure and we're not there. And a Wi-Fi router. I don't think any of those things are deal breakers. The second phase, might as well go for the whole thing. as I mentioned, most of these astronauts on the International Space Station are hams, and they do amateur radio on the International Space Station passes whenever they can be scheduled, and typically you sign up for it like a year in advance to get one of the sessions. And it's that time we're gonna do air. How many of you do satellite or space communications? All right, so we have folks that I wouldn't suggest that we purchase equipment for this, but when the events occur, have the volunteer group bring their equipment and do these ARIS passes. There's huge amounts of room in the Auto Museum. They have a whole theater, and they have a whole meeting room that holds a couple hundred people. So SNARS could sponsor some pretty spectacular ARIS events. But again, I think the application deadline for next year is coming up in a few days. So if there's any thought of that, we need to look into it as a club. And that's just what I said already. Any questions? This is the Comstock Memorial Station, by the way, and this has nothing to do with Don. His radio's emanate RF. I started a new group called Voice Over Large Antennas. Anybody that wants to join is welcome.
One radio missing, I need an AMR.
Well, come on up. It ain't my budget. Questions? Volunteers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Nope. Right.
Tony, you don't need another job.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's a VHS station sitting there. I'll be there.
Very good. Well, I'm turning it over to our president-elect. No, our
Tony, the president, Tony.
And did you write down the volunteers?
He knows us all.
Okay.
Who I can rope in.
Woo!